What?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. We'll highlight all that. Don't you worry.
Just
But of
saying,
course,
you gotta remind people.
Subscribe right now.
Subscribe.
Subscribe. Of course.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Friends, welcome into the Get in the Hole podcast. Ben Pirro, Steve McAvoy here. Another week on the PGA Tour. The Shriners Children's Open left nothing to be desired, as JT Poston takes home a big win. Also, a huge shout out to me for locking in that one on beer money. Not to toot my own horn, but a tremendous win to kick off the fall swing as we prep our way as we push on towards the end of the fall swing, which only is four events away, believe it or not. We're actually creeping ever so closely to January. I don't know what happened in the summer. I don't know where the fall's going. We're almost at November. The Christmas stuff is up at Costco. It's weird.
It's ever so closer, I think. I think it's ever so closer.
Ever so closer. Look, we've already established that I have zero content or creative ability when it comes to grammar. Ben, I don't know if you know this, but my freshman year of high school, I failed English.
Oh, yeah.
But I got a 97 in Spanish, and I went home, and my mom goes, "How the fuck do you fail the language you speak?" Now, granted, look, I failed English, but at Chaminade, it was a 74 or under was failing. So really, like, public school system, I got a C. I got literally a 74.3. Like, I came so close to rounding me up 75, getting a D in passing, but no, I failed. Then again, also, I don't regret a thing, because that's what actually led me to meeting all of my friends in high school through summer school. It was a good time. But it's already been established that I have zero ability to use grammar. I can write you a perfect paper, and I would not be able to identify anything, any part of speech or anything. That's not like nouns, adjectives, verbs, so on that paper. I have zero academic ability when it comes to English.
You know, it's funny because I was actually in case I'm sure no one knows this, I don't even know if you know this. I have the same day. I have the same birthday as Shakespeare.
Okay, fascinating.
Allegedly, because it's believed he was born on April 23rd. Just way back when. But regardless, so we allegedly have the same birthday. And I took a writing class my first semester freshman year when I was at Presbyterian. And my English professor, we had 4 papers, and that was basically our grade. And I ended up getting an A, I think, in the class. And he looked at me during the semester. He was like, "You're a really good writer. You should you should be an English major." I looked at him and I said, "Dr. Alexander, with all due respect, I hate writing. Like, I can't do it." And he was like, "Why not?" I said, "Because one thing leads to another, which leads to another, which leads to another. And it's just like this never-ending like staircase, basically." And I said, it takes forever. And I said, I don't personally like enjoy reading that much. And I just said, I said with, math, it's, you get the answer and you move on. That's it, and you either get it right or you get it wrong. And he was just like, "But that's the beauty of writing." I said, "I understand that, but I personally don't enjoy that aspect of it because it takes so much time. I'd rather just have a calculator." So your boy's a good writer. So just, I don't mean to toot my own horn. But that being said, I couldn't even hang in Spanish. I remember I took a Spanish class when I got to Xavier. I hadn't taken Spanish since sophomore year of high school. And because I had transferred, I had to take an extra year of high school. So I went my last 3 years without taking Spanish, and then my first 2 years of college without taking Spanish. So I hadn't been in a Spanish class. I hadn't been in a Spanish class in 5 years. They put me in the second level. And I was like, I don't understand like anything from the first level. How am I how am I supposed to do this? And I sat in that classroom. It was a night class. And immediately, like, the professor was like, he's like, "If you ever speak in English, I'm going to mark you down for participation." Like, I was basically speaking like half English, half Spanish. I didn't know what was going on. And so I remember I was like, screw this. like I was basically like having to take an extra semester of college anyway because my transfer credits. And I was like, screw it, man. I'm gonna push off the language thing and I'm gonna take sign language the next semester. And because let me tell you, like, it's people say like sign language is harder because you have to use like your brain, you have to use your brain and you also have to use your hands. So people it's supposedly harder than just Spanish or French or whatever. It was so easy. It was like, honest to God, it was one of the most enjoyable and easy classes I ever took. I took 3 semesters of it, and it's a shame because I don't remember really any of it. I can spell my name. I know the alphabet, but like most of them, like I really don't remember any of the signs, but well worth it for sure. And so to any of my fellow college athletes out there, take sign language.
American Sign Language, ASL
American
101.
ASL, baby. It's the way to go. It really is.
So it's funny. This is twofold. One, actually, Kay did sign language in high school because she refused to do Spanish. She did it like for like a year or 2 years, and she went to ESM. So like they had the ability after like 2 or 3 years, whatever, to change their language. Because I think like the New York requirement was like 3 years. And so she did ASL. Her last year, she was like, it's the best class I've ever taken. It's easy, but also like it's an actual life skill that you can actually use. Like I wish I knew something like that. Then for me, I was you know how like you have to take like a entry level exam to like see what your aptitude is in like language and math and English.
Well, yeah, that's what they did to me at Xavier, and I was like, I haven't taken it in 5 years, and they just stuck me in level 2.
So at school, I went from algebra to geometry to trigonometry, and depending on what your grade was in trigonometry, you were either put into intro to calculus or pre-calc. And I had 100 in algebra, I had 100 in geometry, but I did not understand trigonometry at all. I just was not good at it. I was placed in the pre-calculus class with all the fucking morons, and I was by far the smartest kid in the class. I would finish my work with probably half of class like done, and I would sit on my phone in the back of the class and listen to music with headphones in. Like I would literally not even focus on the work, and I go to the teacher. I'm like, hey, like I'm smarter than everyone here. Can I like leave class early if I finish everything? He goes, no, unfortunately you can't. So I literally wasted a whole year. Go into my entrance test for Quinnipiac. I placed in like the 98th percentile in the math thing. They put me in Calc 2. I never took Calc 1.
So funny.
I'm sitting there after the first week. I go, Professor, you might as well be speaking freaking Chinese, man. I don't understand anything. Can I like get like a drop here and like try and move down? He goes, no, like the school placed you here. You're stuck here.
Yeah, it's the dumbest thing.
And he was a douchebag. And Mr. Barbaro, fuck you, because it's the only D I ever got in college. I'm lucky I passed the class. So I had no clue what I was doing in Calc 2, and it was all because of this grouchy old man who wore his pants all the way up with his fucking Rumpelstiltskin. Ugh. Live it. Anyways, welcome in. Get in the hole. As I have to do my spiel before we actually.
I'm not done yet. I have more to add to this.
We're 8 minutes in. Hurry up.
I don't care. So I took pre-calc my junior year of high school, and I had just the worst teacher. He was awful. I ended up getting like a C+ in the class, and I've always like historically I've always been very good with numbers. Hence, I was a finance major. I couldn't hang in that class. So then they ended up, because after that, you were either in the regular calc class or AP Calc. So they put me in their regular calc class, and I was easily like the smartest person in the class. It was awesome. I go off to college. I ended up taking calc my freshman year. And basically the majority of the class like had no clue what was going on. And I was one of, I think, 2 people that actually knew like what the deal was. And the professor looked at me one day. He's like, you really understand like what you're doing? And I was like, well, it's the same textbook. that I used last year as a senior in high school. So
you knew exactly what was going on.
I knew all the answers. And so meanwhile, I was taking macroeconomics and I got a D in the class.
You got a what?
I got a D in the class in macroeconomics. And so when I transferred to Xavier, I had to retake it. And like, bless this old lady's heart. I don't remember her name. I don't know what she's up to. She was the sweetest old lady. I'm pretty sure she just gave me a B in macro just because she felt bad because I just didn't understand the subject at all. I think she just gave, like, I remember one, like, I'll just say this and we'll get into the show. I remember this one kid and he was sitting in the row in front of me in this classroom. And he just like, she's teaching. And all of a sudden he just like turns and looks at his friend. He's like, do you fucking understand this shit? And then he looks at me, he's like, do you fucking understand this shit? And I was like, no, I don't.
Do you have any clue what's going on here? Best class I ever had in college. We had to take 6 credits of science in the business school.
Oh.
And I took a 3-credit class, which was actually really freaking cool. My senior year, back-to-back semesters, I took the biology of beer. And literally the whole class was learning how to make beer. And my senior year, I created a brewery out of the back of my fridge, and it was hilarious. Like I now know how to make my own beer. And you ended the semester going to the Sam Adams factory, which is really cool. But then in the spring, I'm like, I needed 3 more credits of science, and like I wasn't gonna take anything like fucking crazy. And so the 2 options for all of the business kids who didn't want to take it was either nutrition or earth science. The lab. I took earth science. I was the only senior in a classroom full of freshmen and sophomores. And my teacher was this fucking weirdo dude. It was the class from 6:30 to like 8:30 at night, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I would show up to class in my sweatpants. So I would drink beer in the back of that class because I just didn't want to be there. I knew, but like I was smart. I knew, I understood earth science. This guy, about 2 weeks before the semester ends, it's gonna graduate in 3 weeks. He goes, all right, we're gonna do a project. You have to present to the class what you would do if you had $1 billion and you can do whatever to help save the environment. And so I did a presentation about how basically Elon Musk 10 years ago said that he could take a Tesla factory, place it in the middle of the Mojave Desert in Nevada, set up about, I think, 1.5 miles or something like that of solar panels, which only would take up like 1/16 of the total land mass of the Mojave Desert. It would kill a couple of animal species, whatever. But he said he could power the entirety of the United States with this one factory and using batteries that he puts in Teslas to now give to homes and basically power their homes. I did a whole presentation on that. He goes, wow, that's really interesting. Now, mind you, this guy has the roster of all the students, their names, and their years. He goes, you should be a scientist. Are you a science major? I go, dude, I'm a fucking final semester business major. I'm never doing science. He goes, well, your math is really impressive. Like, are you like a mathematician? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm literally going to graduate and then go to journalism school after this. I have no intention of doing anything sciencey. And then like basically like after I like berated this guy, I was like, dude, I'm not doing like a science thing for you, whatever. The next day, his cat dies, and this guy loved his cats. His 3 cats were his whole world. He canceled the final and was like, I'm distraught. He held like a public service on campus for his cats. Bro lives 35 minutes away from campus. He's like, oh, my 2 loves in life are my cats in this school. I'm like, dog, I'm so like, I didn't know what to say to this guy. I felt so bad. I never said the words of man ever again.
Such a raging asshole because of how much of a dick you were during your presentation.
I didn't know his cats were gonna die.
Well, Steve, you don't know what people are going through, Steve. So be nice.
Oh.
God.
Yes. No. There was a big learning lesson that went on that evening. That was a bad time. Thank God I've never seen this man ever again. I would be petrified to see him one more time.
Get in the Hole is brought to you by PHI Apparel Company, our incredible merch partners. PHI Apparel Co. provides unique designs and high-quality clothing from t-shirts to hoodies for every golfer around. With their original designs for all, there's no doubt you'll stand out on the course, the driving range, or at the 19th hole. Go to phiapparel.co and use code UNDERGROUND at checkout for 10% off any order. That's code UNDERGROUND at phiapparel.co and grab exclusive Get in the Hole podcast merch and support your favorite golfers.
Hello, friends. Welcome in. It's Get in the Hole here with Ben and Steve. Ben back from his trek in the golf world. And we're here for another good week on the PGA Tour in the Underground, a part of Underground Sports Philadelphia's podcast network, streaming live on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, or wherever you can get a hold of Ben and I, bringing you all the news, analysis, and betting tips from across the golfing world, including the PGA Tour, LPGA Tour, Corn Ferry Tour, and Live Golf League, proudly presented by some of the best sponsors in the biz, including Tomahawk Shades, arguably, and in my opinion, the absolute best small batch eyewear that you can get in the game. Got plenty of sunglasses, plenty of goggles now for the snow. Just picked up a new pair for K for ski season. New golf hat flags coming out. A whole new line of Tomahawk Shades, all for you. Part of their semi-fall sale. You can get your hands on some really premium eyewear for up to 80% off in store. Up by some of the biggest names in sports. We have guys like John Jay, Dan DeSalvo, Jazz Chisholm of the World Series Yankees right now, and of course Paige Spiranac, one of golf's favorites, bringing you all the eyewear that you need from the first hole to the 18th green and beyond. Head to TomahawkShades.com or download the Tomahawk Shades app on the App Store or Google Play Store and get your hands on some tremendous eyewear. Be sure to use code USP for 25% off your next order. Again, code USP for 25% off at TomahawkShades.com. Ben, we also have a new sponsorship buddy that me and KB announced last week on the show. Hold your horses. Get ready for this. 47 brand has partnered with Underground Sports. Big time affiliates with the brand. In my opinion, honestly, I've been wearing 47 forever. I'm like a merchant for 47 wear. I never liked fitted hats, so I always opted for the cleanup version of their 47 hats. I have Notre Dame. I have Alabama. I've got the Mets, the Rangers, the Knicks. I think I have a Liverpool hat too coming. I have so many lines of the 47 brand. And of course, in terms of golf, their bird technology is so tremendous. They have a whole line of golf hats, from rope hats to regulars. Any sport, any team that you want to rep on the golf course, you can do it. All on 47. Be sure to check out the link in our description. Get in on the action. Join up with 47. It might be the greatest decision your head's ever made in your entire life. Let's get right into the doings of the golf world, and we lead off with the PGA of America. And last week, for those of you who didn't watch, go check it out. The Ryder Cup and the PGA of America officially released prices for the 2025 Ryder Cup at Bethpage. Ben, have you heard anything about these prices?
I know people are complaining about them.
Okay, so to give you a breakdown, since you were busy last week and you were out of the news cycle, a practice round for Tuesday through Thursday at the Ryder Cup is going to run you $250. For the opening ceremonies and the final practice day, it's $450. For a tournament round, Friday through Sunday, $750 just to park in the fucking Bethpage parking lot. Now, they claim that food and non-alcoholic beverages are included, and that's why the ticket prices are so high. PGA of America's championship director, Bryan Karns, went on the Sirius XM PGA Tour radio show on last Tuesday to talk about it. He said, and I quote, "The general price is, I think, just indicative of A, the market that we're in, and B, where we position ourselves, where we feel like we are in the greater sports landscape, and then the demand for the event." A lot of talk has been going on across the golf world. Golf.com's weighed in on it. Golf Digest, of course, me and KB talked about how much of a farce it is. And I first want to get your take before we delve a little bit more into not only just the pricing, because we discussed it last week, but is the reasoning legitimate enough? Is the reason that we're in New York? Is the reason that the demand for a premier once every 2 years sort of event, or the idea that we're in a major hub of the world, worth the price tag?
It's not worth the price tag. And my reasoning, look, I've been to multiple US Opens. I've been to the Masters. I've been to the Players. I've been to the Valspar. I've been to a Corn Ferry event. I've been to a lot of different places, and I've watched a lot of high level golf. The good thing about going to a tour event, whether it's a regular event or a major, there are so many guys playing that there's always action going on. Whereas the Ryder Cup or the President's Cup, but in this case, the Ryder Cup, it is such a limited field because only X amount of players end up competing. And so you actually don't even have that many groups going out. The most groups you have going out would be on the final day, which is the singles day. And so I think just viewing it might be a real pain in the ass, because you and I have been to Bethpage Black. You walked it with me this summer at the State Open. It's a large, expansive property. It is.
Yeah.
A lot of room there. It's a lot better, I think, for viewing than that of like a Shinnecock, just because there's so much more landmass. The bottom line, though, is that there really is such little golf going on. And because it's match play, you can have holes, you can give putts. The rounds aren't going to take that long. They're not. You lose 6 and 5, you're out there for like 2.5 hours, 2 hours. Like, you're not out there for very long. So really the amount of golf that's going to be played and watched is not, in my opinion, does not equal the amount of money that one would have to spend. You know, it doesn't. And so I think the PGA of America is just kind of like ripping the consumer's eyes out. And on top of that, I will say this. I don't really think the Ryder Cup would be that much fun to go to for the majority of people, because it's really just an excuse for like people just to get hammered. It really is. Like, we see it at every single Ryder Cup. Like, fans get absolutely insane. And like, look, do they get kind of crazy at tour events? Yeah, of course they do. But the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup, it gets taken to another level. And so as far as just viewing it, I mean, if someone said to me, I'm not going because there's not going to be a lot of golf to be watched or played because of the format, because of how many players are there. And on top of that, just the atmosphere of the crowd, which I think if that's what you're into, if you're one of those people that likes to get really rowdy, yeah, it could be fun for you. But someone like me who just wants to go and watch the golf and like watch the actual talent that's on display, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't, especially not for that price tag. Absolutely not. Yeah. I don't think it would be worth it at all. So
yeah,
that's my opinion. I don't know. Like I'm sure you and KB agree to some degree. I'm sure you agree.
So what I was talking about last week was largely about the idea that for $750, I didn't even think about the idea that you've only got 6 matches on the first 2 days, or
yeah,
it's more 12, but it's in 2 different stints. But you're still not getting the amount of golf as a 158-man field, or even for that matter, a 60-man field after a cut day, which, to be honest with you, like I've only ever been to one tournament event. I've only been to the 3rd round of the Northern Trust in 2019. And I went, it was after the cut. I went on Saturday. I had tickets for Sunday as well. I found myself, I sat at the first tee with John, and we watched probably 7 or 8 groups tee off. And once we got to the group that we wanted to follow, we'd follow them for 9 holes. We follow another group who happened to be coinciding the other 9 holes. So like I followed Rory for 9 and then swapped off 10 through 18. I watched Bryson. So like I'm following along, and I realized that, particularly as it pertains to the Ryder Cup, really the best golf is when you can station yourself in one spot and watch everyone come by the whole day. That's why they always say like when you go to the Masters, go to 12 green and 13 tee box, because you're right there smack in the middle. You can see 11 coming through, 12 on the green, 13 over the water. You don't want to walk for 12 hours watching guys play golf. And then also, of course, you're taking breaks in between. You're going to the bathroom, you're eating food, so on. The Ryder Cup, I feel like you want to be stationary to either the first hole where everyone is getting hyped up and rowdy, or really you want to find a seat in the stands or somewhere. You kind of are forced to walk around because you want to maximize your time. For $750, it simply isn't worth it. I said it's not only a farce that they're charging this much money, but it's just like what we had at LACC, if you remember a couple of years ago for the US Open, how like members at LACC had first crack at tickets and no one actually went because they were afraid of noise complaints and rowdiness, and they limited tickets on the final 2 days. I think the two things in this case can be true at once, right? I don't blame the PGA of America whatsoever for wanting to capitalize on the New York market. You're 35, 40 minutes from the city by train. You're going to get a swath of people coming in. So, like, do they want to cash in? Absolutely. I get it. But at the same time, you're alienating such a large populace of people who want to go and enjoy this event and actually cheer for America, or in this case, obviously Europe. Like, and plus, on top of all this, you're playing at arguably the most famous municipal golf course in America. It's the People's Country Club. It cost me $70 to go play black. I feel like the ticket prices should be able to reflect what the people who actually live here and live, breathe, and enjoy golf want to be here for. And look, let's be honest. Like, we know that you're not paying for like $750. I would probably pay for a US Open, yeah, because it's probably what the resale market is. Maybe it's also the fact that they're selling it this high so that resellers don't cash in on the money where the PGA can. I just think it's too steep to be able to try and get people where it's not going to end up being a corporate sellout event, and you're going to get people who are just there to get drunk and use it as a status symbol, just like how people use the US Open here in Queens. It's fucking $400 for tennis. Pre-COVID, no one gave a shit about it. It was fucking $40. I can go get on the train and spend $100 for the day. Now all of a sudden it's $30 for a drink. It's $400 for a seat. It's $50 for a hat and $100 for a t-shirt. It's way, 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 way over our heads. And I think it's a ridiculous price, and their reasoning is complete bullshit.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, you said it best. The best way to operate when you're at a tour event, practice rounds are completely different. I prefer to go to practice rounds just because as a player, I like to see how guys operate and like how they prepare. To me, I find that interesting. But in my opinion, if you're going to go to an actual tour event and watch Thursday through Sunday, go and park yourself somewhere, and, whether it's, I don't know, like, you could literally go, if you go to the Players, you park yourself on 17 on the hill. Or you can go to, if you go to the Valspar at Innisbrook, you can park yourself on like 14 or, 14, the par 5, or 15, the par 3 over water, one of those holes. I find the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup, because there's such little golf to be played, you can't really park yourself anywhere. The only place you can really park yourself is the first tee, where the grandstands are. But with the exception of the last day, each day there are technically 12 matches that take place. But the first 3 days, it's a morning wave and an afternoon wave. So you're just sitting there for probably like an hour and a half. That's really what you're sitting there for. And then the final day, you're probably sitting there for like a couple hours, but that's really it. And you have to get there so early, just because I know the grandstands look big on TV. I'm sure you've been to tour events. They're not that big. There's not a whole lot of seating there. And it honestly, like, a lot of times you have to have like a certain type of pass to even sit in the grandstands. So, which will cost more money anyway. So the Ryder Cup doesn't lend itself to being able to do that. And so that's why I say, and that's why you also said, I'm sure, like, the whole reason that someone wants to go to a Ryder Cup is because it's an excuse to get drunk and be obnoxious. You know, like they're not really that concerned with watching the action being taken place. They're not. So, and yeah, it's also a status symbol too. It is. It's a lot like the U.S. Open for tennis. You know, so I think that. Look, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a fun event to watch on TV because I feel like the commentary will be good. I feel like the commentary for the Ryder Cup is always good.
Always good, yeah.
What's that?
Tarico and Cruder does a really good job.
Yeah, they always do a really good job with the Ryder Cup. But at the end of the day, I truly believe that if you're like a hardcore golf fan, save your discretionary dollars and do something else with it. Honestly, put it towards a golf trip to like the Greenbrier. I'm not kidding. Like that would be more worthwhile. So that's just my opinion. I'm sure it'll be fun to watch, and I'm sure it's, you know, with everything that Rory said, how they're going to win next year, and I'm sure all that's going to be fun to listen to. But just being there, I just don't think it's not worth the price tag. It's not at all. And like, use that money to go to a Knicks game.
And honestly, that's like really like my whole thing here too is like I said, 750. The kind of places that money can go towards is so much greater. And not for nothing, look, I would rather, and maybe it's because I'm used to Bethpage and we're always here. I would rather save the money and, like, for example, in 2020 at Whistling Straits it was like $300 for a tournament round. Rather fly to Whistling Straits or fly to wherever they're going to host the 27 Ryder Cup, or well, in this case 29 back in the States, and travel for a trip. Honestly, it's probably more worthwhile. And also, this is my final thing here. Bryan Karns, the PGA of America tournament director, was like, yeah, the Ryder Cup we view the same as Game 7 of the World Series or the World Cup or the Olympics. I'm like,
no.
I could totally understand that the Ryder Cup is arguably the premier event of golf standards. If it isn't a major, and it isn't the Masters, which you can't even get tickets anyways on the market, it's all lottery, then I get it. But the number of golf fans are not the same as the number of soccer fans, and are not the same as the number of baseball fans. The MLB World Series this year, Dodgers-Yankees, is projected to have over 70 million concurrent viewers. It's projected to be the highest rated World Series ever. Is it because it's LA, New York? Sure. But you're also in New York for a golf tournament, and you're in New York for the biggest golf tournament. You're still not going to get the kind of eyes that you would think to try and show up and fly out to New York to pay New York prices. I'm sorry. I walk in Midtown Manhattan and I see families of 7 from like Germany who are like, it's ridiculous that it's $6 for a piece of pizza here. I'm like, yeah, are you shocked? Like, it's horrible. I hate living in New York. I want to move because it's absolutely ridiculous, the fact that it costs so much money to actually like be here. It's true.
No.
So, like, I totally understand $750 for a ticket in New York. But the fact that it's $300 in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, give me a break. We can get cheaper. Finally, yes.
Yeah, just one other thing. Look, I think the Ryder Cup, the Ryder Cup is just a glorified bragging rights thing for golfers. That's really what it is. That's all it is. It will never have. It's, in my eyes, it does not hold a candle to the 4 majors. I think the Players is more entertaining. It's the only thing that really makes the Ryder Cup entertaining is how absolutely insane the crowd gets.
Yeah.
On TV. In person, I think that would be a giant pain in the ass. The Ryder Cup, while it is a historic event, will never be the equivalent of the World Series or the Super Bowl or a Game 7, whatever. It's not. Like, if anything is, if the mecca of golf is the Masters, the US Open, the Open, and then the PGA. That's pretty much how it goes. And I'm sure most golf fans would agree. And then after that, yeah, you could have a debate, but I would take the Players over that. I mean, I would take, so, but regardless, that could be a fun debate in the future. But
I would say the Ryder Cup definitely like falls around the majors. I don't think it's different because it really is the only litmus test of national pride for golf, because the Olympics only comes around once every 4 years, but like it's only a 60-man field. It isn't like it's anything crazy. Like it's a bad comparison because it's actually historic, but like it's like the WBC for baseball. Like it's the one event where you can actually represent your country. Even though, of course, the WBC was only 20 years old. This event's been happening since 1900. Like we don't realize how historical it actually is. National pride.
No, I understand that, but as a kid, you always had a putt when you were like 10 years old in the putting green. It was always a putt to win the Masters or to win the US Open. It was never to win the Ryder Cup, ever.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why it will never hold a candle to the 4 majors, in my opinion. Could it be a 5th? Maybe. Maybe. I'd like, hopefully we can make this podcast so big that we could literally say, hey, what's better to watch, the Ryder Cup or the Players? Because I think that would be interesting to see. But regardless, let's move on.
We're gonna make that the poll in this week's show. So go into our files, vote on the poll. Let us know what you think. Better viewing experience, majors, Players, or the Ryder Cup. You let us know. Speaking of things that actually do matter, the LPGA Player of the Year award is in hot contention between 2 of the top 3 golfers on the LPGA track. And unlike the Ryder Cup, where you're fighting for bragging rights, this is actually a trophy that's going to go in a trophy case and is going to lead you to the Golf Hall of Fame, one of which is actually already in the Hall of Fame, and one of these players will eventually get there quite soon, possibly sooner than the other. World number 1, Nelly Korda, and world number 3, Lydia Ko, in a tight battle to see who will qualify as the LPGA Player of the Year. Let me run through the head-to-head here numbers for you to give you a look. Nelly this past year, 6 wins. Now the season isn't over, by the way. There's still 4 events to go, but neither one of them are probably going to end up playing in any of them. So as you stand right now, as of this showing on 21st of October, Nelly has 6 wins, all of which came during her insane Scotty run, coinciding with Scotty from January to May. She didn't win a major. She went 11 of 14 for cuts made, had 9 top 10s, had only 1 finish outside the top 20, and she finished 22nd at the Olympics. On the other hand, Lydia Ko, who was, after her win at the Olympics, was officially deemed eligible for the LPGA Hall of Fame, had 3 wins this year, including the AIG Women's Open, which is the equivalent of the Open Championship on the women's side at St. Andrews, nonetheless. Made 15 of 17 cuts, 7 top 10s, and she won the Paris Olympics, as I had mentioned. Who would you say deserves the honor as LPGA Player of the Year this year?
It's really hard to say right now. And let me put it this way. I believe Nelly Korda deserves it. As of right now, we still have 4 events left. And I remember and you compared Nelly to Scotty and how they had that really early run in the first half of their season. And it was just like they were untouchable. They were going to win every single event. It looked like they were just boat racing the field. And then over time, we saw Scotty start to look a little human. Wasn't playing quite as well. Wasn't playing bad. He wasn't playing that bad at all. He just wasn't playing to the level that we are accustomed to seeing Scotty Scheffler play at. And then during that time, Xander won 2 majors. And then it's almost like, could Xander possibly steal this? Is it possible? But towards the very end, Scotty reminded everyone who Scotty Scheffler is, and he turned the Jets back on to end the season. And so, as of right now, with 4 events left, I would say it's Nelly Korda. Now, she started off really hot, and then she really started to struggle. She had a bad round at the U.S. Open, I remember. She's had some really not great finishes at times. Even though she's only missed 3 cuts. But you definitely saw the human side to her golf game. And you also saw how she would get a little flustered as well if things didn't go well. And I think a lot of that was the pressure that one can feel. Oh, God, why are you texting me? Leave me alone. Okay. That being said, Lydia does have an outside chance to win Player of the Year. Yeah. But she has to go on a tear the last 4 weeks. I have no idea what her schedule looks like, if she's playing the next 4 events or not, if she's playing all 4, if she's playing a couple. And it's really hard to – you can't even tell that really until like the week before who's really playing in the event. So long story short, it's almost like Nelly's basically having like a Scotty Scheffler year.
Yeah.
But Lydia is kind of having like a Xander year, because we noticed like once Nelly started to falter a little bit, Lydia was like, she got the Olympics, you know, like she went that, and that's a big deal. That is a big deal. So, you just, when someone has twice the amount of wins as you, that has she arguably been more consistent? I mean, she's played 3 more events and she's missed 1 less cut, but at the same time, Nelly's played 3 less events and has 2 more top 10s. So that kind of balances each other. That balances it all out. The Olympics, while yes, it is very impressive that Lydia won it and she really beat Nelly fair and square. That's only 1 event. And to be honest, like I said, I mean, it's like, I get it. She has a, you know, Lydia has a major and Nelly doesn't, which is shocking to read. But at the end of the day, like when someone has doubled the amount of wins that you have, there's not really a whole lot you can say. So Lydia, you have a chance to win, but you're going to have to go on an absolute tear the last month of the year. So the report is that Lydia Ko might play 1 more event of the 4 in the final part of the year. You took the words out of my mouth. I was going to go on this Scotty versus Xander sort of conversation. Who would you rather have? The guy who has more wins or the guy who has the majors and the Olympic gold? And I mean, to play the other side of the fence here, I would actually go with Lydia Ko. And my reasoning for it is that yes, Nelly Korda has 6 wins on the year, and yes, she did win 1 of the 5 majors within the year. She also got edged. Sorry, she didn't win 1 of the majors. She ended up getting. No, sorry, she didn't win. She won the Players Championship equivalent of the LPGA, not 1 of the 4 majors, but still considered largely the 5th major of the bunch. She did end up having this tremendous run of 6 out of 7 events, but they all came from January to May. She had 3 missed cuts, two of which came at the U.S. Women's Open and the Women's PGA Championship. She then played the Evian and finished 26th, and then got edged out by Lydia at the Women's Open. It's, again, do you quantify a Olympic gold medal as heavily as a major? I say you do. And in which case, I would rather take 2 majors and then one regular season win in, might I add, a major event of the year in terms of the calendar. Was not a major, but it's still a largely regarded LPGA event, over 6 wins, much of which came in the early half of the year. People are still raw, still figuring things out. She beat some weaker fields. I would actually go with Lydia here. And I think it's interesting because when you look at the breakdown too, like 17 tournaments to 14 tournaments, 15 to 17, 11 to 14, the 3 missed cuts for Nelly came in bigger events. So whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing for her, might help her out because it's a more loaded field. It's a more invitational-based field, quite possible. But I still think majors take precedence. And I think we're going to see the same thing when it comes to when the men's side gets chosen at the end of the year, Scotty versus Xander. People have been saying, like, oh, I mean, you can't argue with 2 majors from Xander. You're kind of saying the same thing. I can't argue with almost 2 majors from Lydia Ko. Keyword, almost.
Almost. But
almost only counts with, what is it?
Horseshoes and hand grenades.
Yeah.
It's a great quote, by the way.
It is a great quote. Great.
Now, I'm going to go on the other side of the fence and say Lydia. Plus, also, you get the added bonus that she literally just made the Hall of Fame this year. pretty damn historic for somebody who at 27 years old is one of the greatest golfers of all time, which is like crazy to think about. Quickly before we head to break, we have some fun news. It's a breaking news coming out of the PGA Tour circuits. The TGL has finally dropped their initial regular season calendar running from January through the middle of March. The opening event will happen down in West Palm Beach. Ticket prices, we want to talk about $750 for a Ryder Cup being crazy. The first match on January 7th for the TGL, the New York Golf Club versus the Bay Golf Club, $160 for a 2.5-hour event. Rather go to a Rangers game. Schedule runs from January 7th to March 4th. Playoffs are March 17, 18, and 24, 25th. Streaming exclusively on ESPN and ESPN Plus. Are you intrigued with the extra year it's taken them to get to where they are right after the college football playoff, tip-off, or cut-off, January 7th? Are you intrigued by the growing interest in TGL?
Not in the slightest. You said you'd rather go to a Ranger game. I'll take it one step further. If it was still baseball season at that time, I'd rather go to a Marlins game, and I'm not even a Marlins fan. So, I'm not at all intrigued. I feel like it's just the traditionalists' way of trying to get more eyeballs on the game in a way to combat LIV and everything that LIV has done. Because if LIV hadn't occurred, LIV was never a thing, this would never be a thing. So I don't know. I think that this is it's kind of a gimmick.
Do you think that once you watch it for the first time, your opinion might change?
I won't be watching it. Trust me. I will not be watching it. No.
Would you go even though it's right there in West Palm?
I just said no.
All right. If you were given a free ticket, would you go?
No. I would rather spend my time doing something else.
All right. I think it's interesting. I've seeing more about it. It makes me wonder what it's like, and I'll probably end up watching the first event just out of curiosity. I don't know if I'll like it. I don't know if I'll be intrigued by it any more than I already am. I think also the year off, that post-storm last year when they ended up having to push back a full year, I think that might have done me in for losing some interest. Honestly, if they hadn't dropped the schedule announcement today, probably wouldn't have known that it was even happening. So I'm indifferent on it right now. Let's report back on that January 7th, and we'll see the opinion. Actually, it's going to be happening during our show. That happens on Mondays. I believe Mondays. Let me double check that because I don't know why it would air on Mondays on ESPN if it was. Sorry, it's a Tuesday, so it's going to air every Tuesday. So we'll report on it our second show of January after that week, and we'll see how things go. Let's take a short break. On the other side, we're going to talk FedEx Fall, see where we're at as we head into the Zozo Championship out in Japan. We'll talk all things Zozo, what the field looks like in a 78-man field at one of the biggest events of the fall swing, and we'll get your beer money picks for this week, following a great week of the Shriners. For Bennett, Steve-O, don't go anywhere, folks. Get in the whole podcast right here. Welcome back in again, the whole Ben and Steve here as we break down what's going on in the FedEx Fall standings. Speaking of the fall, it is a great time as we hit quarter zip season and pants season to get in on some brand new apparel. And I know the absolute best place to go and get it. Acorn Hills, our good friends, bringing you stylish clothing, but using a conservative and conservationist point of view in order to get you some awesome biodegradable products and some conservation in mind. Bringing you top-of-the-line products from some of the biggest manufacturers in the industry. Acorn Hills between quarter zips, polos, ball markers, and alike. You can get yourself on some tremendous apparel, all built and raised out in Western Pennsylvania. Every dollar given, the National Forest Foundation will be able to give you a seedling to promote reforestation across our great land. Be sure to use code GITH15 for 15% off your next order at acornhills.co and look your best from the ground up. Here's some FedEx Fall stock watchers as we analyze what's going on in the fall series. You know, NVIDIA hit its all-time high again this week. But you know who else has hit all-time highs? Michael Kim. Michael Kim jumps all the way from 129 to 112 after a final round 62 out in Las Vegas. Finally pokes his way into the top 125 to earn his tour card as of right now with 4 events to go. As well as Joey Highsmith, 133rd, right to the bubble, 125, right on the nose. And Alejandro Tosti, 136 to 127, just on the outside looking in, as well as some fallers. Actually, this is a fun one. So Joel Damon falls from 124 inside of the top 125 to 129. Did you hear about his illegal 15th club in the bag?
Yeah.
Have you ever fallen victim to this, or have you like he said in an interview that he usually carries a couple extra clubs, sees how the course is playing. He carries 2 4-irons. Have you ever come close to falling victim to this, or do you not carry extra clubs in the bag?
No, I don't. My bag has pretty much stayed the same. Like I've always just gone driver 3-wood, and then since college, well, since going into my junior year of college, I've had a 2-iron, not a hybrid. My dad wanted me to get the funny story. My dad wanted me to get the hybrid, and while I was in the fitting, I was like, Dad, I don't want the hybrid, because because I didn't want it. And so he was like, just get it. And I was like, Dad, every time I put a hybrid down, I look at it, I just see the ball going left. Like the face always just looks closed. And I was like, I was like, he was like, just get it. I was like, Dad, if you make me get this club, I am not going to use it. It is going to be a waste of money. And he like couldn't wrap his head around the fact that I wasn't going to use the club. And I was like, and he was like, come on, just get it. He's like, just in case. I was like, fine. Meanwhile, like the guy who's like fitting me for the clubs, he was just like, Ben, you should get it. I'm like, yeah, of course you want me to get it, because it's like more money in your pocket.
Make a sale, dude.
Are you fucking kidding me? And so I get the club, and I got the, I'm hitting the 2-iron, I'm hitting the 2-iron, and I hit 2 balls with the hybrid. They both went left, and neither one was thin and like off the heel and left. The other one was fat and left. It was like a high hook. And I was like, I haven't touched it since. Actually, I tried to sell it to Johnny, and we couldn't agree on the price because he kept lowballing me. I was like, John, it's been hit twice by a professional golfer. It's the same grip. You can't even tell that it was hit. He was offering like $80 for it. I was like, that is so insultingly low. Like, that's pathetic. So that being said, no, I've never had that almost happen to me before. I know that happened to Wesley Bryan one time in a Monday qualifier. They got it on video, and he just was like giggling because like he wasn't playing well anyway. So he was like, I don't care, like 4 strokes or whatever. I believe there was a story though years ago about a player about like, I think the caddy found a 15th club in his player's bag, and he tried to like take it out without anyone noticing, and the caddy ended up getting caught, and I think he actually got fired too.
So Joel was like, yeah, I mean, like I could very easily blame Gino for it, but apparently it was like a total honest mistake. They carry a couple extra clubs depending on the course. Sometimes he enjoys hitting 1 4-iron over another. He has like I think like 2 wedges that he usually will alternate between. So it was no one's fault, but the 4-stroke penalty really screwed him up and ended up costing him a ton, because now he lost 4 strokes. He ended up WDing halfway through the second round. He was like, "Fuck it, I'm done. Like we're washed at this point. We're already out of the tournament. Let's just get out of here and move on to the next one." So unfortunately, that cost him 5 spots in the rankings. He now falls outside of the top 125 to earn to keep full-time PGA Tour status. So hopefully Joel manages to climb back, because we're all, of course, fan favorites of Joel Damon. Let's get right into the Zozo preview and the field lookup as we dig our heels into what's happening out in Japan this weekend, one of the biggest fields of the year. Multiple top 30 players in the world coming back, including defending champion Colin Morikawa, including aforementioned Xander Schauffele, Justin Thomas, Hideki Matsuyama makes his first appearance since August in his home country of Japan, as well as Justin Thomas, Ricky Fowler, Sahith Theegala, Sungjae Im, Siwoo Kim, Max Homa, and Minwoo Lee, just to name a few. Only a 78-man field is going to be heading out to the Narashino Country Club out in Chiba, Japan. Sorry, I just got a notification that Mike Evans is now hurt and my fantasy season is now foiled. This event has been a breeding ground for top players to get on track as they progress on in their fall vacation to then get ready, as well as also it's been a really good spot for younger guys who haven't necessarily gotten wins. The list of winners of the 6 winners that have played here and won here are quite illustrious. But some of the names that have come in second place, you might know Bo Hostler, Brendan Steele, Cameron Tringale before he jumped to LIVGolf and now is out of a job. Andrew Putnam, Eric Cole, just some of the names that stand out amongst some of the younger crowd who, in their first few events, managed to make the Zozo, fly out of Japan, finish top 3, and have seen some pretty good, successful careers out on the PGA Tour. Is there anything we should expect, do you think, for this week as guys traveling from the States? A lot of guys still in the fall series. Not many. Again, a 78-man field with a lot more loaded on the front end that we usually see in the fall. But traveling from Nevada all the way to Japan, do we expect some jet lag? What's your opinion of the event this week?
I mean, look, yeah, there might be a little bit of jet lag. Travel does take a lot out of you. Take it from someone who has to drive everywhere. So, just saying, it's true. Look, I mean, that could be part of it. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's no cut, which is good. So if you go and you complete all 4 rounds, you're still getting points and you're still making money.
Sure.
So that's still good news. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a great event. I mean, there's a lot of really good players playing, guys with a lot of pedigree like Ricky and JT, Minwoo Lee. I think he's a sneaky dark horse for this week. Just saying.
Due for something big.
What's that?
He's due for something big. It's been a
really
pretty rough and tumble year so far.
Yeah, he really is. This is always, like you said before, this has been a place where the best players in the field historically have dominated. So, but at the same time, it's not uncommon for guys who we might not know much about or who the traditional fan might not know much about, where those players can also shine. So I think it's going to be a good mix, and I think it's going to be a nice, really, this is like the only high-profile fall event that there is. You know, so I think it's going to be good. I'm excited to watch it. Yeah, so say we could get into the beer money now then.
Yeah, let's do it. This event, before we jump on into it, big time ball striking course. The reason why I love this event in particular, not only is the golf course it's very similar to what they played at the Olympics back in 2020, when Xander won. It's a very narrow golf course, one of your classic run-of-the-mill Japanese golf courses that you see. The Narashino Country Club, it is a brute to play. It isn't necessarily the longest course out there, but it is most certainly a test of ball striking, accuracy, and guys who are able to keep the ball as straight as they can have really good success here. Think about it. Even 40 years ago, Gary Players won here. Seiya Ballesteros has won here back when they held the Suntory Open. So this is an event where you don't necessarily have to hit the longest, but a lot of guys who hit it straight can dominate in this event. With that being said, let's get right into the beer money picks brought to you by our boys at Kenwood Beer. While Kenny Gainwell is running in TDs for the Eagles, you can get your hands on the other best Kenny in Philadelphia, right as close as your own local liquor store, or Packy, as they call it out in Mass. Kenwood Beer, bringing you some of the best light beer that you might just say is the best light beer you've ever had. Only 120 calories at 8 grams of carbs. Go to kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny Tracker to find where you can get your hands on some ice cold Kenwood Beer from your favorite liquor stores in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, and now the Constitution State, the great state of Delaware, as well as the Wells Fargo Center and beyond. Must be 21 years or older to do so, and of course, please drink responsibly. Again, a huge win on the back of JT Poston at the Shriners Open, as well as the big top 10 from Harry Hall on my end. Really good Beer Money Week. Unfortunately, it doesn't count anything towards our race for the fall, but I'll try and gain some ground here down one. Ben, you lead us off. Top 20 pick at the Zozo.
All right, so I'm going to go with Siwoo Kim for a top 20. I feel like it's a pretty safe pick. I feel like this course fits him well. He's a good driver for the golf ball. And this being a narrow course, I feel like this suits his strengths well. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Siwoo Kim for a top 20.
I'm going to go with Beau Hossler here for a top 20. Had a really good performance at TBC Summerlin. He traditionally plays really well out in Nevada, but also at the same time being able to travel to Japan. Might be a short week, but again, the no cut does help him a ton. So I'm riding high on Beau. Hits the ball pretty far. You don't need to roll a ton of putts in order to win. We always talk about how the fall swing is basically a birdie fest and a putting contest. The nice thing is that you don't necessarily need that in order to dominate at a golf course out here in Chiba. So I like Beau Hossler, top 20. Top 10, who you got?
Top 10, I'm going to go with Will Zalatoris. I'm going to take another ball striker. I think that this is the type of place. Number one, this is the type of event that I think someone who had a very up and down year and has a lot of questions about his durability. I think that this is a really good event. I'm not sure if he's going to play at all after this event. I don't think he will. I don't see why he would. But this is the type of event that he could, if he plays well, it could give him a nice feeling of accomplishment for the end of the year, and also good mojo going into the new year, into 2025. So that's what I'm going to go with Will Zalatoris for a top 10.
I'm going to go with Saif Theegala for a top 10 here. I've been interested in seeing what Theegala was able to do a few weeks ago at the Procore, formerly the 40net. He's apparently actually been working on his golf a ton with not only his current coaches, but also has brought in some new advisors as well to help get him up to speed on some new methodologies. Apparently, he says he's hitting the ball better than he has ever before. Hopefully, that isn't an exaggeration because I see big things this year out of Saif Theegala. A top 10 here would be huge. Even a win at this event, a win would be huge. Top 10 here would be tremendous. Just to be able to get the coils going. Again, we're only four events left in the fall swing. You'll likely see Theegala probably playing at the Hero down in Albany. You'll see him in January as soon as possible. It's going to be a long year for Saif Theegala. This is going to be a good tune-up before he keeps things going. Top 5.
Top 5, I'm going to go with Justin Thomas, another ball striker. I think some people might look at me with a side eye saying, why are you picking someone who can be a little erratic off the tee? A lot of times when you have a narrow course, it makes everyone focus in and really be specific with their targets. And I think Justin Thomas will have some of that this week. I like JT. He knows how to make birdies. I believe he's actually already over there, so we wouldn't have to worry about the jet lag thing at all. So that's what I'm going to go with JT for top 5.
Top 5 for myself. I'm going to go Sunjae Im. Not quite the Japanese native, but being out in Korea, very similar style golf courses out in Eastern Asia. Sunjae Im is, again, the problem that's been plaguing Sunjae Im's ability to win golf tournaments has not necessarily been the fact that he just can't close. It's that he just simply doesn't play his absolute best when he plays in the States. But statistically speaking, when he's played in the Asian Tour, when he's played the DP World Tour, when he's played events out here in Asia, when he played even the 2020 Olympics, he's one of the top 5 best players in the world, strokes gained, tee to green, scoring-wise, in Eastern Europe and East, including Asia. He's been tremendous on golf courses out here. It's where he grew up playing golf. He understands what that Korean, Japanese, Chinese style of golf course looks like, and it's very similar across all fields there. Sanjay M top 5 is a home run play for me. Your gimme pick this week.
You might laugh at this one. I'm going to go with Mark Hubbard for a top 30 finish. Homeless Hubs, baby. Homeless Hubs. Top 30.
I fucking love that, man. All right, here we go. Let's get sexy. Let's get funky.
Oh.
You know, I wanted to take Siwoo Kim top 20 here because it's a layup of a play, but I want to get a little diverse and try and take you out here this week.
Yeah, because you're losing.
Yeah, I know. I'm finally down for a little bit, and I need to make up some room. I'm going to go Johnny Vegas top 30. Had a really strong week this past week. Long hitter of the golf ball, could be a little bit erratic at times, but again, the putter doesn't need to be hot. His approach game has been really strong the last 3 weeks. I think Johnny Vegas may actually have a really interesting and compelling argument for a really high placement this week at the Zozo. Your winner this week.
All right. This is going to turn your head, Steve. He finished second last week, and I know some people might say,
I love this pick.
It's a good one.
I love this pick.
It's a really good one. Some people might say, "Oh, Ben, the jet lag." I don't know how long the flight is from Nevada to Japan, but it's not like he's flying from the East Coast of the United States. I'm going with Doug Gim. He just locked up his tour card for next year with a solo second. Could have easily won the event last week in Nevada, in Vegas. I think he's got all the momentum in the world. Look, let me just pull this up real quick regarding Doug Gim. My Wi-Fi has been terrible, by the way, since the hurricane. I mean, it's been just horrific, like just criminal. Driving accuracy, he was tied for second last week. Driving distance, he finished 12th. That's just a for fun stat. Longest drive, he was 389, which actually ranked him 30th. But strokes gained putting, he was 25th. Strokes gained around the green, he was 38th. Approach to green, though, which is what led him to making a lot of birdies, he was ranked first. And strokes gained off the tee, he was ranked 6th. So he does the necessary things that you need to do to make birdies, which is hitting the ball in the fairway and hitting it on the green, and not only on the green, but hitting it close. That's what he did last week. And usually when you have a golfer like this who's very young, momentum is a scary thing for the rest of the players in the field. When you have a young golfer who has confidence, who has momentum, and who plays fearless, and he does that. I've followed his career since I was in high school. So since he was in high school too. So I'm going to go with Doug Gim to win. Plus 4,500. It's pretty good.
I love that pick. It was a pick that I wanted to take, but I just think my pick's a little bit better. You go with somebody, a American with Asian descent, I'm going to do the exact same thing, but not go with Doug Gim. This is a golf course that's going to test every little bit of your entire bag. Like I said, ball striking is huge, keeping the ball on a string, keeping it straight. The field is really good, but this guy has experience in taking down strong fields. If you recall from 7 months ago, he took out the entire field in one of the biggest events of the year. I'm sorry, maybe it was 2 years ago. Let me double check that to make sure that I'm right. It was in one of the last 2 years. He has won one of the biggest events of the early March swing 2 years ago. He's one of those guys who he had a great week, finished top 10 at Summerlin. He's gained 16 strokes on the field on approach alone, which is like actually like really insane. Jet lag will not be a problem. The putter's been cold, but like I said, you don't need to roll 25 birdie putts to win here. Kurt Kitayama won at Bay Hill, has knocked out the likes of Scotty Scheffler before. I think he dominates and he wins the Zozo in actually his mom's hometown of Chiba, Japan. Bang! What a play. Doug Kim and Kirk Kitayama might be the two most diverse winning picks we've ever had on the show. And we've done obscure fall events.
Yeah.
That's freaking good. I love that. Love the diverse betting card. Love the picks that I got this week. Should be a very compelling event out at the Zozo. I think early mornings we're gonna have, right? Japan is 8 hours ahead of us? 9 hours ahead of us?
No, they're behind.
No, they're ahead of us.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Wait, but even though California's behind?
Hold on. Japan time right now, it's 10:17 in the morning. Tomorrow.
Oh.
So
I know.
So actually, well, you know what? In that case, they're a literal 12 hours ahead of us. So we're not going to have to really be we're not going to be up super early to watch this like we are the Open, but should be a compelling week for those of you watching the Zozo. That's going to do it all for us here for Ben Pirro. I'm Steve McAvoy. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe at all of our socials at Getting the Whole Pod. Be sure to get in on everything. 5-star reviews, likes, comments, of course, vote in our polls for the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course on YouTube at Underground Sports PHI, where you can get the entire breakdown, an entire library of Underground Sports podcasts, your favorite sports from soccer to F1 to lacrosse, and of course our boys over here at golf. You can get your hands on everything at Underground PHI on YouTube, and you can follow them as well on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and the like. Once again, for Ben Pirro, I'm Steve McAvoy. We'll see you next week. Enjoy the golf, and let's go, Kurt. Let's go, Doug. Have a big week.
Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, the official golf podcast of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Catch us every week wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and be sure to like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Get in the Hole Pod, and follow Underground Sports Philadelphia at Underground PHI. We'll see you next time, and remember, get in the hole!